You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Haristodoulou.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Haristodoulou. It is February 14th, 2022. The NFL season has officially wrapped up, and we are now in the off-season for the 2022 year. What a wild ride this has been. From the beginning of the season to now, you know, the Cinderella story of the Bengals, the powerhouse built-to-win team of the LA Rams on a collision course to get after it and bring home a Lombardi trophy. The Bengals making their first Super Bowl appearance in 31 years. There was so much to appreciate about last night's game. It was an awesome competitive one at that, where I don't think anyone at any point in time could really definitively say, yeah, this team has this game in the bag. It was awesome from start to finish. We're going to go through a quick recap and reaction video, so make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for more content, and we are going to start today's video off with my own hot take that I've been brewing for a while now, something that I have felt pretty strongly about, but we needed the end result we got last night in the Super Bowl for me to really feel confident in this argument and bring it to the table. So to start my video off, my opening hot take after last night's Super Bowl is this right here. And this is probably going to be pretty controversial. Matthew Stafford, now a Super Bowl champion, is a better quarterback than Brett Favre. Now, if you're a diehard NFL fan, you probably almost just fell over in your seat by what I just said. Hear me out. I have a lot of the numbers listed out here. I've been doing side-by-side comparisons for these two guys for the last few weeks since the idea kind of spun into my head when I was looking at some things in Pro Football Reference was actually where I spotted this whole, I spawned the whole idea from, so shout out to you guys. Let's look at the numbers here and just kind of break it down. Firstly, obviously, both have a ring now. Took Stafford a little bit longer to get his ring before, or compared to Brett Favre. But when you look at the numbers, Matthew Stafford, 4.7% touchdown rate compared to Brett Favre's 5%. So Favre does lead in that category there at 5%, by 0.3. Then the tables just kind of flip into Matthew Stafford's favor through and through. And I get they've played in different eras of football. You know, 90s for Brett Favre into the early 2000s. I get it. Trust me, I do. Don't need to yell at me in the comment section for that one. Matthew Stafford, though, 2.4% interception rate to Brett Favre's 3.3%. That's almost a 1% difference right there, 0.9 to be exact. Matthew Stafford has averaged a career average of 3,845 yards a season to Brett Favre's 3,591 yards a season. Stafford's also sitting at 63% completion percentage to Brett Favre's 62, with a career QB rating of 91.1 to Brett Favre's only 86. On top of that, and this is not including postseason, which I'm very curious to see if included in postseason, this would sway in a Stafford's favor. Brett Favre currently sits 6th all-time in NFL game-winning drives at 43, whereas Stafford sits right behind him at 7th with 42. One comeback win behind him. And if you look at what was going on in these playoffs, he added to those drives quite a few times. So with that in mind, you also have the single player accolades. You know, Brett Favre has a three-time MVP awards. He's a 3-time All-Pro. But you know, you could argue that he receives the benefit of having played with the Packers for the majority of his 20-year career, 16 to be exact, whereas obviously Matthew Stafford spent 12 years with the Lions. It benefits you to be in a winning organization with stability around you. As you can see what happened with Stafford this year, he was on course to be in that MVP conversation throughout the majority of the year. Yeah, he had some pretty bad interceptions here and there that, you know, didn't go his way, pick sixes and whatnot. But Brett Favre and Matthew Stafford play a very similar style of football, a very, very similar style of football. And in my opinion, Matthew Stafford does it better. He's more efficient. He protects the ball more. I mean, Brett Favre, for God's sakes, leads the NFL all time in interceptions. And on top of that, Matthew Stafford, in his 13-year career, has only had one season where he crossed 20 interceptions, and that was his rookie year in 2009, where when you look at Brett Favre, he had 6 seasons of 20-plus, nearing 30 with 29 at one point, and he even had 19 in his final season in the NFL. Listen, it's a pretty hot take, and I would listen to anyone argue one side or the other any day. But in my opinion, the conversation is there. I think that the efficiency speaks for itself with Stafford averaging nearly 300 yards a season more. On top of that, lower interception rating. But again, I get the argument of, okay, well, Brett Favre played in a wildly different league. He was playing in the 90s and those early 2000s, a much different type of NFL, especially for the defenses. They could be a lot more physical and hang all over receivers and whatnot. I get it. But at the same time, that's not Stafford's fault. I'm just here presenting a hot take. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, if you're sticking with me for the actual recap of the game, this was a fantastic game from start to finish, in my opinion. It was like two different tales, first half and second half. It was all Rams in that first half, for the majority of it at least. The Rams jumped out to a really quick and aggressive 13-3 early lead. Cooper Kupp, man, talk about having an absolute game. 8 receptions, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a big 4th down rush that went for about 7 yards as well. He really is that guy, and I think it's super fitting that he won the Super Bowl MVP. Shout out to Cooper Kupp. He had one hell of a game, especially considering, once Odell Beckham went down, it was pretty much him and then the rest of the receiving core. There was nobody else to really take away from him. So, and Stafford said it himself in his post-game interview. It felt like every big third down or every just big situation in general, Cooper Kupp was doubled up at minimum. So shout out to Kupp, man. He really is that guy. And I also want to shout out Odell Beckham. It's unfortunate what happened to him. No contact, knee injury. At this point, turf just needs to go. It seems like all the players are in agreement that turf sucks. And while I can't speak for them on that, if all the players, the people who are actively playing on the turf, say that it needs to go and they feel that is the reason we are seeing a rise in no contact injuries, maybe the NFL needs to start doing a little bit of research into that. I don't know the details on it, and there's no actual data that shows more injuries happen on that or not, but it seems like the players are voicing concern, and if they're voicing their concern, the least the NFL can do is just start recording whether injuries, no contact, are happening on grass or turf. It does not seem like it's very difficult if you dedicate a person to each game. That's 32 people to just kind of take note of, okay, there was an injury today for this number of injuries on this team, this number of injuries on this team, and the field here is turf. I don't think that's a really difficult concept to kind of formulate and put together there. You just need a little Google spreadsheet. So not something that I think would be a very difficult thing to do. Matthew Stafford, excellent game on his part, in my opinion. 26 of 40 for 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The stat sheet makes the game look a little less good on his part, but overall, I mean, his turnovers that he had, one was a tipped interception, a second one amounting to essentially a punt that was late in the first half there. It wasn't anything that was really backbreaking. He took a shot in a point in time where you can kind of get away with throwing an interception there. And again, the result ends up being a punt where they were at the 20 and then ended up going to the 10 because of Vernon Hargreaves running out onto the field. Not sure why he thought that was a good idea. Zach Taylor did not sound too thrilled about that in his post-game press conference. Cannot believe he did that because you're not supposed to be on the field if you are not, especially if you're not suited up, first of all. So pretty wild that happened, but overall, an excellent game from Stafford there. Made some really big throws. Obviously, game-winning drive for the touchdown. Another game-winning drive for him and the crazy amount that he has had in his 13-year career. The Rams defense, the pressure came late, but it did finally come through. The first half of that game, I was wondering, where the hell is Aaron Donald? Where the hell is Von Miller? What is going on here? This is the 3rd best team in sacks in the year, and for some reason the pressure was kind of nowhere to be found, but ultimately in that second half, they really stepped up, really got aggressive, and tied the NFL record for team sacks in the Super Bowl with 7, nearly making it 8, but the NFL took that final one away when Burrow threw the ball away at the end of the game. Aaron Donald had 2 sacks. Von Miller had 2 sacks. This team is primed to run it back. They looked excellent through the game. Overall, the defense was awesome. And honestly, if it wasn't for Odell going down, I really think this game would have ended up being a lot more lopsided because it really allowed the Bengals to tighten up on Cooper Kupp and essentially forced Matthew Stafford to have a very, very good game for them to come out winners in this one. Stafford's going to get an extension. I'm assuming they're going to try to bring back Von Miller, and it sounds like Odell Beckham's even willing to take a team-friendly deal to remain in LA. I feel like Robert Woods might end up being the odd man out here. I don't really know how the Rams can juggle Woods, Kupp, and Odell. I'm assuming that they could bring Woods back on a 1-year deal just to see how he does, and that will kind of work in their favor because they can run Cooper Kupp 1, Odell 2, Woods 3 because he's coming back from an injury. But depending on how things shake out next season, I think Woods is going to end up being the odd man out. Van Jefferson is a fine number 3, not a number 2, though. I like Van Jefferson, don't get me wrong, but he didn't really step up and make the plays that he needed to make in this game. He did make some catches, but overall, it just felt like it was like Cooper Kupp or nothing for this Rams offense once Odell went down. But this team is primed to try and run it back for another Super Bowl title next year. Excellent roster overall. They're not really in a bad place cap-wise, so I'm excited to see what they end up doing there. As for the Bengals, man, Cinderella story. What a season. Hats off to the Bengals. I mean, this is a team that you did not expect to be where they were come last night. And for them to be there way ahead of schedule, Burrow is a stud. Jamar Chase is a monster. T. Higgins is incredible and had a fantastic game himself. Joe Mixon, excellent touchdown pass from him on a trick play that left the whole Rams defense looking. The biggest thing that I kind of took away from the game, though, just was that Burrow could never really find his groove. He did a great job protecting the ball. No fumbles. Never really put the ball in a bad place as well in terms of throwing. It never really risked any type of throw. There was no risky potential interception or anything like that. He was 22 of 33, 263 yards and a touchdown. It just felt like he couldn't get into the normal rhythm that he usually gets himself into when he's playing well. And I really think it boils down to, I just think that the Rams overall as a team are more talented than the Bengals at this stage in the game. And the Bengals have a lot of talent, don't get me wrong, but they have a lot of young talent, unfinished talent in my opinion. Talent that will grow into their true potential in due time. And I think that's really what it boiled down to in this game. Shout out to T. Higgins, though. I mentioned him a second ago. 4 receptions, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had the big 75-yard touchdown pass. He was my X factor of the game and who I felt needed to have a big game for the Bengals to have a chance, and he did exactly that. Jamar Chase was held to only about 89 yards. Higgins, though, big-bodied guy. He's 6'4". He is massive. One, he had the big catch on Jalen Ramsey, and controversial as it was still a touchdown catch. The face mask was there. Obviously, it was missed. Part of the reason why the game ended up being as close as it was down the stretch there. But it is what it is. He also had the touchdown catch from Joe Mixon as well in the end zone, wide open there as Scott kind of moved in from the secondary, trying to stop Joe Mixon on the run play. But excellent game by him. Again, Joe Mixon, great in the clutch there with that touchdown pass. That was excellent, and I think a great jolt of energy for a Bengals team that was kind of struggling up until that point of the game and finally starting to move the ball. Major props to this defense, I do got to say. They played a lot better of a game than I expected them to, especially taking advantage of Odell Beckham going down. Talk about really limiting Cooper Kupp. The Offensive Player of the Year and the Super Bowl MVP, they did their best to really shut things down. They only sacked Stafford twice, but it really felt like they were bringing the heat more than that. I'm actually surprised when I was looking at the box score numbers afterwards and I saw that there were only 2 sacks listed for the Bengals. I kind of scratched my head because I was like, really? I felt like Matthew Stafford went down more than that. But overall, excellent job by them. The secondary did a pretty solid job as well, making it difficult for Stafford and the Rams to move, and they completely eliminated the run game. I think the Rams had 43 yards rushing total at the end of the game, something like that. Pretty ridiculous numbers. The O-line, Obviously, the tail of the tape here really ends up being the offensive line and just the struggles that they had. I do want to say they looked phenomenal in that first half. Did not expect to see them play a first half like that. And when we were going into halftime and it was 13-10, I thought to myself, there is a real opportunity for the Bengals here to win this game. And when they jumped out to that 17-13 lead and then got the tipped interception off Stafford as well on that first drive for the Rams on the second half, I mean, the way the O-line had been holding up at that point, I was thinking, all right, I mean, they neutralized the pass rush. Matthew Stafford's been forced into a couple of bad throws. This is like the perfect storm for the Bengals, but talk about a collapse in the second half amounting to 7 sacks. Again, an NFL record in the Super Bowl tied for 7. Burrow hurt his knee. It sounds like he's okay from what he said this morning. I hope that's the truth. I am an Indianapolis Colts fan, and I watched what happened to Andrew Luck not being protected. This is the second year now where Joe Burrow's offensive line has been very, very subpar. Please, there is $57 million in free cap space. I believe they have like the third or fourth most cap space going into this offseason. If you are the Cincinnati Bengals ownership and management, figure out who the heck is going to be a free agent this year or make a trade. You need to upgrade this offensive line. I know they went and got Riley Reif, and he got hurt, and that was really unfortunate. I think that hurt the right side really badly. But overall, you have Burrow, you have Chase, you have T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, you have CJ Uzoma. Bring all those guys back and get an offensive line to protect them, and this Bengals team can play with the best of them. I wanted this Super Bowl. I wanted Rams and Bengals. This is what I was rooting for come start of the playoffs. I picked against the Bengals twice. I picked them to win against the Raiders, and I picked against them, but I rooted for them in those games. I picked against them, but I rooted for them. They have a hell of a competitive team and a fire that is unlike a lot of the other teams in the NFL, where a lot of the other teams in the NFL are riding on just their skill and their talent alone. This is a team with heart and determination, and they should not have been in the Super Bowl, but they were. Get them an offensive line, and this team's a problem. That's my Super Bowl recap, though. Love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Rams come out on top champions. Exciting night. I'm excited for next season. I'm looking forward to all the offseason discussion we'll be having. Be sure to keep an eye out for all the divisional power rankings I'm doing. I got 3 done. NFC West will be coming up next, and then we're starting the AFC after that. So I appreciate y'all for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one.